Disasters can occur anywhere, anytime, and usually when we least expect them. In California, we often think of the disasters as an earthquake, fire, or flood, but there are many other possible disasters, such as civil unrest, tsunamis, health pandemics or epidemics, dam failures, natural gas explosions, plane crashes, train derailments, or acts of terrorism. The California Government Code states that all public employees are hereby declared to be disaster service workers subject to such disaster service activities as may be assigned to them by their superiors or by the law. This means that in addition to our everyday duties, we have an added responsibility to help in a disaster. And this is important. All of our advanced preparation and planning can only succeed if we're ready, willing, and prepared to continue our responsibility to serve the public, including in the face of crisis.
A strong and prepared workforce greatly enhances our county's ability to respond to and recover from a major disaster. Having an active training program will increase our ability to be resilient during difficult times. Disasters across the globe are increasing at an alarming rate, and therefore the need for disaster workers with knowledge of how and when to respond is a necessity. Today we will discuss your role as a disaster service worker, or DSW, and how you may be able to assist in a disaster. We will also review the County Emergency Preparedness Program, threats within San Joaquin County, and how you can prepare for an emergency at home and at work.
If you are employed by the County of San Joaquin, you could be any number of things: a sheriff's deputy, a librarian, an eligibility worker, or an accountant. But no matter what we do in our regular jobs, we are also disaster service workers. Under state law, Title I, Section 3100 of the California Government Code, and County Ordinance Number 1786, all government employees are declared disaster service workers who can be called upon in any emergency. This means that city, county, and state employees have a responsibility to help in a disaster. When a local emergency is declared, all county employees can serve as DSWs. In the event of a disaster, the Office of Emergency Services will activate its EOC, a multi-agency hub designed to manage emergencies. As part of the EOC, the Human Resources Division will contact employees to activate them to report to a DSW assignment. If HR is unable to fill staffing requests through the EOC participant lists, all county employees may be activated as a DSW. All DSWs are compensated for their work in accordance with established agreements between representative labor organizations and the county, including overtime. The duration of the DSW assignments will vary in length depending on the operational needs and the nature of the local emergency. Typical activations will be approximately 2 weeks in length. Daily or hourly shifts may differ from an employee's regular work schedule.
Disaster response for San Joaquin County is based on the state's Standardized Emergency Management System, SEMS, and the Federal National Incident Management System, NIMS. SEMS and NIMS standardize the response at the different levels of government into a hierarchy system during an emergency. These systems also standardize the terminology, functions, and components of the response, and the key positions and duties of the responders within. To better understand these concepts, all county employees are required to take the ICS 100, 700, and SEMS 606 trainings via online portals. Some people might be required to attend additional training. Typically, this could include those with greater responsibilities in their day-to-day jobs. Examples could be public safety personnel, supervisors responsible for field operations, or managers and directors involved with other public safety, emergency response, emergency management, or public health. If you're interested, you can also get more training, even if you're not a supervisor. The Office of Emergency Services, Emergency Medical Services, and Public Health Services offer additional ICS courses throughout the year. People who want to be a part of the Emergency Operations Center team can be provided training in areas that increase their ability to support during an emergency. As a county employee, your day-to-day roles and responsibilities directly impact the lives of people who live, work, and play in San Joaquin County. During a time of emergency, non-essential employees may see alterations to their duties. You may be asked to take on tasks outside of your normal responsibilities to work in support of emergency operations, assist with support functions at a disaster site, coordinate information about the disaster or available public services, and other activities needed to effectively respond to the hazard in your community. Examples of how your work may be altered during an emergency response period include performing your usual responsibilities but with additional hours or in a different location. For example, providing disaster victims with government services such as medical aid, housing, or other assistance. Emergency response-related activities associated with the program in which you normally work, or employees who work in programs with statutory responsibilities during an incident. For example, lab technicians, epidemiologists, drinking water engineers, food, drug, and radiation inspectors, health and safety officers, public information officers, and program managers. Using your professional skills and abilities to go above and beyond your normal daily tasks. For example, public health nurses, physicians, and other medical professionals may be asked to deliver healthcare or perform triage. Laboratory technicians, scientists, or engineers may be asked to perform work duties in lab or in the field. You may be asked to support emergency operations in the county's or your department's Emergency Operations Center. These tasks may include assisting with purchasing, record keeping, timekeeping, analyzing information, providing subject matter expertise, planning response activities, answering phones, supporting emergency response facilities, writing press releases, monitoring media, or processing requests for supplies or resources to be sent to local health departments.
We all know disasters happen. A disaster may be an earthquake, a flood, or even a pandemic. Being an employee with the county also makes me a disaster service worker, which means you can be activated at any time. I was activated during the COVID-19 pandemic. This was my first time activated as a disaster service worker since I started working for the county. I received my assignment and reported for duty. At first, I wasn't sure what to expect. When I got to my assignment, I saw how the whole process ran like a well-oiled machine. Every disaster service worker there had a specific job, a specific part to do. I happened to be assigned to the finance division. Every part of my assignment was well within my scope of everyday duties. The hours during a disaster are long, but that's just a part of the job. Being away from family could be hard at times on not only myself, but also my family. I made sure to talk to them regarding how important being a disaster service worker was, how I was able to do my part to help the greater good, and how proud I was that I could help our community and our county.
The county activates the Emergency Operations Center, EOC, when a disaster or an emergency occurs. Once activated, it becomes a hub of activity and serves as the central command and control facility responsible for information, communication, and resource coordination between the various local government agencies involved in a disaster. An EOC functions at a strategic level during an emergency and ensures the smooth and continuous operation of a county, city, political subdivision, or other organization. An EOC is also responsible for strategic direction and operational decisions and does not normally directly control field assets, instead leaving tactical decisions to field commands. The common functions of an EOC are to collect, gather, and analyze data, make decisions that protect life and property, maintain the continuity of the organization within the scope of applicable laws, and disseminate to all concerned agencies and individuals. The first component of an EOC is the individuals who staff it. They must be properly trained and have the proper authority to carry out actions that are necessary to respond to the disaster. They also must be capable of thinking outside the box and creating a lot of what-if scenarios. The local EOC's main function during an emergency is to support the incident commander. The second critical component of an EOC is the communication system. This can be from the simple word of mouth to sophisticated encrypted communications networks, but it must provide a redundant path to ensure that both situational awareness information and strategic orders can pass both into and out of the facility without interruption. To ensure the continuity of operation, backbone components of the communication system are not normally located at the EOC. The EOC can change your normal schedule or require overtime during an emergency. Your DSW supervisor will determine your work hours and manage an equitable schedule during long-term disasters. Although there is no limit to the number of days a DSW can be assigned to an emergency, the EOC continually monitors and evaluates resource needs during an emergency to maintain only those personnel required to achieve objectives. Some departments have specific disaster response duties that employees are trained to fulfill. Employees who do not have a specific disaster assignment and have not received specific training may be asked to perform general duties as assigned under the DSW program. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, requires training exercises be performed to help the county be properly prepared to handle disasters of varying proportions. During these exercises, staff will practice in their designated positions in different disaster scenarios. As a disaster service worker, you may be called upon to participate in these exercises at the county's EOC.
As a public employee, we may be called on throughout the year to provide various levels of assistance to our Office of Emergency Services. During my time as a San Joaquin County employee, I have had the distinct honor of working as a disaster service worker in a few local emergencies. The ability to provide services to our community in their most vulnerable time of need was such a rewarding experience. As a worker, it may seem like providing something as simple as a phone number to the locations, providing sandbags is a small task. However, to the constituent on the phone frantically trying to save their home during a flood, this information is invaluable. Most recently, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I worked several mass vaccination clinics held here in San Joaquin County. In my lifetime, I never imagined that I would be part of something so impactful to our community. To see the sighs of relief on the faces of the people as they received their vaccines is an experience I will never forget. If you're on the fence about becoming a disaster service worker, I challenge you to give it a try. I promise that the positive impacts from your experience will far outweigh any of your hesitations.
Threats of hazards and potential disaster are always present in San Joaquin County. Some incidents occur every day and are easily resolved at the local level. FEMA emphasizes that communities should take an all-hazards approach to planning. Threat, vulnerability, and risk are metrics that collectively describe the likelihood and potential impact of a hazard on a community. Based on these factors, the San Joaquin County Office of Emergency Services identifies and organizes planning efforts for such hazards. The current identified hazards in San Joaquin County include traffic accidents, chemical spills, or hazardous material incidents, earthquakes, fires, and floods. Interstates 5, 205, and 580, as well as highways 99, 12, 88, 4, 120, 132, and 26 are major transportation routes through the county. Interstate 5 and Highway 99 run north and south, while highways 4, 12, 26, 88, 120, 132, and Interstates 205 and 580 run east and west. These major highway and freeway routes would be highly utilized by both county residents and tourists as possible evacuation routes in event of an emergency. While traffic accidents are a frequent occurrence within the county, they are typically low impact to the general population. Chemical spills or hazardous material incidents have a higher impact but are typically less frequent at a large-scale event. Trained responders within San Joaquin County are able to assist in responding and containing these hazards. San Joaquin County has a small number of minor fault lines within its jurisdiction. Earthquakes that might occur due to them are considered a low-frequency, high-impact incident. Improved building codes have led to the reinforcement of buildings against earthquake damage, lessening the impact when one does occur. As part of the California Catastrophic Earthquake Plan, San Joaquin County would be involved in evacuation efforts, including housing and assisting evacuees. Wildland fire areas in San Joaquin County are minimal and are largely agricultural in nature. Urban fires like structures and industrial are much more frequent and can have higher impacts on residents of the county. Floods in San Joaquin County are less frequent, but historically have high impacts on residents. Additional mitigation efforts have been made to reduce the impacts or damages caused by flooding. Over 50 reclamation districts maintain the levees along the Mokelumne, Calaveras, Stanislaus, and San Joaquin rivers within our county. It is your responsibility to prepare yourself for disaster service duties by ensuring that you and your family are ready for an emergency. Do you remember the last emergency that occurred in your area? Was it a power outage affecting your home? Was there a fire or accident affecting the way you drove to or from your house? Was there an issue at your child's school that caused them to have to evacuate or shelter in place? The best way to know what's happening is to sign up for alerts. San Joaquin County has partnered with Everbridge to implement a community notification system, SJ Ready Alerts, to alert residents about emergency events and other important public safety information. This system allows San Joaquin County to provide you with critical information quickly in a variety of situations, such as severe weather, unexpected road closures, and evacuations of neighborhoods and buildings. You can also opt into receiving alerts from you or your child's school, the National Weather Service, or other relevant alerting systems if you live outside of San Joaquin County. Local alerting systems include StanAware for Stanislaus County, Everbridge Citizen Alert for Tuolumne County, Merced County Emergency Notification System, Sacramento Alert, and Calaveras Alert. Does your family have a disaster kit assembled at home? Have you completed a family communication plan? Do you have extra cash on hand? These are some of the very important actions to take in advance of an emergency. As you prepare, tailor your plans and supplies to your specific daily living needs and responsibilities. Discuss your needs and responsibilities and how people in your network can assist each other with communication, care of children, business, pets, or specific needs like operating medical equipment. Create your own personal network for specific areas where you need assistance. Keep in mind some of these factors when developing your plan. Different ages of members within your household, responsibilities for assisting others, locations frequented, dietary needs, medical needs including prescriptions and equipment, disabilities or access and functional needs including devices and equipment, languages spoken, cultural and religious considerations, pets or service animals, and households with school-aged children. Creating your family communication plan starts with one question: what if? What if something happens and I'm not with my family? Will I be able to contact them? During a disaster, you will need to send and receive information from your family. Communication networks, such as mobile phones and computers, could be unreliable during disasters. Electricity could be disrupted. Planning in advance will help ensure that all the members of your household, including children and people with disabilities, know how to reach each other and where to meet in an emergency. After an emergency, you may need to survive on your own for several days. Being prepared means having enough food, water, and other supplies to last for several days. A disaster supplies kit is a collection of basic items your household may need in the event of an emergency. A basic emergency supply kit could include the following recommended items: water, 1 gallon per person per day for several days for drinking and sanitation. Food, at least a 3-day supply of non-perishable food. Battery-powered or hand-crank radio and an NOAA weather radio with tone alert. Flashlight, first aid kit, extra batteries. Moist towelettes, garbage bags, and plastic ties for personal sanitation. Wrench or pliers to turn off utilities. Manual can opener for food. Cell phone with chargers and backup battery. Important family documents such as copies of insurance policies, identification, and bank account records saved electronically or in a waterproof, portable container. Sleeping bag or warm blanket for each person. Complete change of clothing appropriate for your climate and sturdy shoes. Matches in a waterproof container. Feminine supplies and personal hygiene items. Mess kits, paper cups, plates, paper towels, and plastic utensils. Writing implements such as paper and pencils. Books, games, puzzles, or other activities for children. Once you look at the basic items, consider what unique needs your family might have, such as supplies for pets or seniors. Many kinds of emergencies can cause you to have to evacuate. In some cases, you may have a day or two to prepare, while other situations might call for an immediate evacuation. Practice getting low and moving to your exits if there is smoke. Children should know what to do when they hear a smoke alarm and there is no adult around. Help them practice going to the outside meeting place. If your child needs to use an escape ladder, show them where they can keep it and practice how to use it. It is critically important that you prepare an emergency plan for your family so they will know what to do in your absence. The Employee Preparedness Program consists of the following annual activities. Ensure department emergency plans are current. In-service training of employees on their department emergency plan. Personal safety training for new employees. Preparation or updating of a facility threat plan for each county facility. Training of facility threat coordinators and area wardens, and full-scale evacuation drills for each designated facility. The Facility Threat Coordinator, FTC, maintains the Facility Threat Plan, assigns the employees to fill roles if they are insufficient volunteers for area wardens, evaluates threats to the facility, ensures familiarity with the facility and surrounding area, and collaborates with department emergency coordinators to maintain an accurate list of personnel assigned to the facility. Area wardens receive information and direction from the FTC, assist in evacuations or sheltering of employees, guests, or clients in San Joaquin County facilities, provide situational information and updates to the FTC, ensure accurate accounting of all persons evacuated or sheltered at facility, and provide accountability to the FTC. Remember, know your plan. Each department and facility has an emergency plan. The Office of Emergency Services coordinates with department heads and public safety agencies on annual full-scale evacuation drills of major county facilities designated as such by the county administrator. These drills will test the ability of the Facility Threat Coordinator and area warden systems to properly evaluate threats to the facility, coordinate with public safety agencies, and make and implement protective action decisions. The drill will also test the ability of departments to implement their department emergency plans under the direction of the Facility Threat Coordinator and area warden system. When an incident occurs, follow your department's reporting instructions and be prepared. Make sure you are familiar with your DSW and employee responsibilities by periodically reviewing the training, preparedness materials available on sjready.org, and your facility and department emergency plans. Department emergency plans will ensure that employees know how to properly notify public safety agencies and their facility threat coordinator of threats that they perceive or learn about. Inspect their areas for objects or information at the request of the facility threat coordinator and properly report results. Evacuate their workstations to an external assembly area and efficiently account for staff and persons in their care or custody, and know how to shelter in place in their work area. Maintain a fire plan as required by law, and maintain a basic business continuity plan. Departments must annually ensure department emergency plans are current for each facility in which department staff are permanently assigned, provide in-service training to the department employees, and participate in annual evacuation drills for each designated facility in which they have staff. Facility threat plans are intended to establish an emergency structure and process in each county facility that can evaluate threats, work effectively with public safety agencies, direct and supervise protective actions of employees of all departments in the facility. These measures ensure that the Facility Threat Coordinator can communicate instructions and information to all employees in the facility through a network of wardens and other means, make timely and appropriate protective action decisions in the face of a threat, and communicate appropriate protective action orders to employees and effectively supervise the implementation of evacuation, shelter in place, or other protective actions by employees in their facility. If there is an emergency and you must evacuate, get out. Make sure you know your exits when in a room, both primary and secondary. You should move with purpose. Do not run, but do not take your time. Get out before sharing any details on social media. Once out of the building, report to your assembly area. Know where you need to be and get there. Do not make any unnecessary stops or detours. Make sure you are accounted for and find the person checking people in and make sure they check you in. Wait further instructions. Management will make the decision whether to release you or not. If you are told to shelter in place or lockdown, it is usually safer to stay in than to evacuate. If there is a hostile person, remember, run, hide, or fight. Your main priority should be to create a separation between you and the threat. Try to notify others or call 911 if possible. More information about violence in the workplace can be found in the county's workplace violence prevention courses.
Something you need to remember, it's normal in our regular jobs to help residents. That's what we do. But in a disaster, it's even more critical. If your mind is not on the task at hand, that's a problem. What helps is to be prepared ahead of time, know what your building plans are, and that way you know your loved ones are safe, and that greatly reduces your fear and your stress and makes it a lot easier to focus on helping others. It is essential that each employee be prepared for an emergency, and each county agency or department obtain the assistance from their employees in implementing their emergency response plan in a disaster and in coordinating an effective and efficient recovery. Training courses on the Standardized Emergency Management System, the National Incident Management System, and EOC orientation are available to all county employees through the San Joaquin County Office of Emergency Services. It takes many hands to organize and perform the numerous tasks required in a disaster response. This is where your work is vital. Whether you are called upon to assist in your own agency or department, or you are asked to report to the Emergency Operations Center. Your prompt and dedicated response is important to ensure a system is available and that resumption of business as usual is accomplished as quickly as possible. Your dedication and commitment as a disaster service worker will greatly help the public we serve. With your efforts, the county will function efficiently and effectively when disaster strikes. Thank you, and welcome to the family of San Joaquin County.